guys, it's Maddie, and today I will be doing a book review on Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. And I adored this book so much, I'm so excited to talk about it, so let's just get into the synopsis. So this book is in the point of view of three characters who are all siblings, but they don't know it. All these characters were put into the adoption system. Eventually they are told that they have siblings, so they end up finding each other, they get to know each other. Eventually they do start looking for their biological mom together, and this book is just all about these siblings coming together and growing a relationship between each other. So this is a book that really focuses on family and family dynamics, since it is all about siblings connecting. Next, going into the characters, so there are, as I said, three main characters in this book who are all the siblings. First we have Grace. The thing I love about this character is she was a teen mom and she gave her baby up for adoption. Because her own mother also put her in adoption, she faces this issue with wondering if her daughter someday is going to be like, why did my mom not want me? Because Grace is someone who wonders that too, because her mother gave her up for adoption. So that's something she really struggles with. I really liked how teen pregnancy was included in this book, because I feel like there isn't enough books that handle that topic of teen pregnancy when it is something that happens in real life, and just not a lot of books cover that. So it was really cool to see a character who is one of the main characters going through something like this, and also the issues she faces with it, because there comes a time when after she's had her daughter that she goes back to school and she's facing a lot of ridicule because she was a girl who got pregnant, so of course she's going to be a target to kids for bullying. So that book also covered that, which I really liked because I found it really realistic. Another thing I really liked how the book pointed out revolving the fact that she had a baby is that people were telling her, you need to put the baby up for adoption because you're not going to get any freedom, like you aren't going to be able to focus on school and this baby is going to hold you back, both physically and emotionally. And one thing that Grace brings up, which I thought was so hard-hitting, and I really like how she brought it up, was that I'm not free regardless, because people kept bringing up the fact that she made a mistake and she had a baby, and they wouldn't let it go. So because of that, she didn't feel free at all. She felt like she was constantly being criticized, that she was going to have to live with this her whole life. So she's not free, even though she gave the baby up for adoption. And I like how she brought that up, because because what I was thinking was, you might as well have just kept the kid, because you're never going to be free. This is what people are going to judge you as, so like what's the point? So I really liked how that was brought up. And I also loved Grace as a character. She was very strong. She of course went through so much hardships because of the fact that she was pregnant, and she faced a lot of ridicule and emotional trauma because of it. But she was very strong. She was a very sweet character, super friendly and super lovable. I just really enjoyed her. And going on to Maya, she is the youngest sibling. She comes from a family where all of her family is redheads, and she's the only brunette, so she's known her entire life that she's adoptive. Like, it's very obvious. Her family life isn't the best. Her parents are always arguing. They're going through a nasty divorce, so the family she was adopted into does not have a really great dynamic. The relationships are very strained. She does have a younger sister that she really, really loves, even though they bicker, like she loves her. And I just really found her family interesting because they're going through so much problems within the marriage, and how Maya handled that was really interesting to read about. Maya is the most outspoken out of all the siblings. She is very feisty, very sassy, isn't afraid to talk back to people. So she's a very outgoing character. She's definitely the sibling where the other siblings were like always telling her to calm down, to like chill. Especially Grace was always bickering with her, which is nice because that's what siblings do. Like, they fight. That's comes with being a sibling. But one thing that I do have to say I don't like about the book is that I felt like Grace and Maya started bickering too soon. Like, the second day Grace knew Maya, she was always telling her to, like, shut up and just, like, cool it, stop talking. And I'm like, you barely know this girl and you're already talking to her like that. Like, I found that really weird, and it just made it feel like their relationship was going a little too quickly. So I felt like that part of the relationship should have come later on. It was only a small thing, though. That's the only thing that bothered me about the book, but it didn't last long, which was good. And I do have to say that Maya is my least favorite of the siblings because she is very irritating. She, as I said, argues with people. She's very outspoken and really crazy, so she's probably my least favorite of the siblings, but I did still enjoy reading her chapters, getting to know her family and the problems she's facing within her family. And the last character I'm going to go over is Joaquin. He is the oldest of the siblings. The difference with Joaquin is he was never adopted. He's been through tons of foster families. He's never had a family, never had like a home that is like his permanent home. He's always going between families. In this book, he is settled. He's with this family who is his foster parents, but they want to adopt him. And Joaquin doesn't want them to because of something that happened when he was adopted that was very traumatic for him, which you will find out if you read the book because it's a spoiler, but that's the main reason why he doesn't want to get adopted. And Joaquin is the most troubled out of all of the characters because of things he's gone through in his past that were just awful. He is definitely my favorite character in this book. I loved his story. I felt like he was very real. The things he was going through just like pained me because he's just always had just a horrible life. He's never really had a family because he's been through so many foster families, so he's very damaged because of that. I think the way he handled the situations he was in was very real, and I think it would be very relatable to kids who have never been adopted and have been through a ton of foster families. Because of what he's been through, he's very withdrawn. When he does form relationships, he doesn't feel confident in them because he knows he's a problem, he knows he's a burden because he comes with all this baggage where he's depressed all the time and feels like he can't give his all to someone, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. So it's very hard for him to form relationships and keep them. But just like Grace, I do think he's very strong. He is able to overcome his depression with the help of his siblings, which was like so heartwarming. How his sisters were able to help him see that he is loved, that he is wanted, because now he has two sisters who want him and accept him for who he is, even though he's been through a lot of crap in his life. They're just there for him. And that leads me to the relationships in this book. So the biggest factor of this book is that it has to do with families. And this book covers different families. It covers each of the siblings and within their own adoptive families. I liked how the parents were very present throughout this book, but the biggest thing I loved regarding the relationships was the sibling relationship. So we get to see these siblings come together, get to know each other, and really just fall in love with each other. It was just so beautiful to watch because since all these characters are going through their own hardships in this book, we get to see each of the siblings be there for one another and be supportive of each other, which I thought was just so beautiful. And I felt like their relationships throughout the entire book was really, really well developed. There are some romantic relationships that go on in this book. So Grace was in a relationship with this guy named Max, who is the father of her baby, but they're not together anymore because Max left her because she had the baby. He didn't want to be there for the baby at all, so she's dealing with that. And Maya has a girlfriend, and Joaquin had a girlfriend, but he broke up with her because he felt like he wasn't good enough for her because he has all these problems and he didn't want to put her through that. So these characters' romantic relationships are mentioned, and some of them are present, but really we don't really get to see them develop. They're just mentioned, which is okay because romance is not the main thing about this book whatsoever. It's just all about families. The plot was really good. It is, like I said, divided into 3 perspectives between the siblings. In each of the chapters in the siblings' perspective, they were always going through something that was really interesting. So I felt like the plot was really good. It was fast-paced, easy to read. I just really enjoyed it. The writing was beautiful. I think it was very captivating. I'm super excited to read Robin Benway's other books. I currently have Emmy and Oliver by her, so I just want to read more by her. I just really loved her writing style. The last thing I want to mention is that this book made me cry so hard. I am telling you, I have not cried for a book in so long, and this, the last like 50 pages, I was just bawling, and even like an hour or 2 after I read the book, I like still kept thinking about it, and I was just like crying. It was just such a beautiful book that I couldn't help but cry like happy tears. Like they weren't sad tears, but it was just because I felt so much for these characters and their relationships and their problems that I just could not help but cry. It was such a beautiful book. I would highly recommend it. Little thing that I will mention, there are a few trigger warnings regarding alcoholism, teen pregnancy if that's something you're not comfortable with, and I think that's about it. I'm pretty sure there's more. I should have wrote them down. But yeah, if those things bother you, then you probably shouldn't read this, but if it doesn't, definitely give it a try. It's, at this time, I think my favorite book of 2018 so far. I just loved it to death. It will be on the list of my top favorite books, and I would definitely reread it again. It was so beautiful. So that is my review on Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope I moved you to read this book because it is amazing. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos.